We're in Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans of The Spread. I am your host, Jim Sella. I am in studio with Jay Dash today. The Steelers are on a bye this week, so we're just going to kind of give you a little review of the season and a look ahead to the playoffs
that we will be in. First round bye.
I'm hoping, man. I'd love that first round bye.
I just hope we have a home game.
It'd be nice to get in the playoffs after missing it the last 2 years.
True. Well, let's start at the beginning of the season here. They had one good half of football. Then they almost lost to Cleveland.
Yeah.
In the end. And then until week 8, I had no hopes for them. 7 straight weeks. They actually went win-loss, win-loss, win-loss the whole way through the first 7 weeks of the season.
Yeah, they squeaked out that victory against the Browns in week 1. They got pummeled by the Ravens in week 2. They pummeled the Panthers, even though the Panthers kind of handed them that victory in week 3.
Definitely handed them that victory.
Tampa Bay, they broke my heart and lost in the final seconds, 27-24 at home.
That was a home game, too.
Yeah,
that's
pathetic.
The surprise there.
Absolutely pathetic. They stroll into Jacksonville in week 5. They beat the Jaguars very unimpressively at 17-9.
And at this point, I'm saying they are a terrible team.
Yeah.
If you go back and listen to us.
And then it gets even worse because they just get blown out in week 6 by the Browns, 31-10. You can't lose to your division opponent 31-10 if you want to be taken as a legitimate playoff contender.
Especially that opponent. You got the Ravens and the Bengals to deal with, too.
Yeah, that's the problem. Everybody in our division's above 500, the only division in football.
But after that, they finally put it together. I didn't realize it the next week. They did beat Houston 30-23, and I was saying, you know what, this isn't a good win. They were handed the game by Houston. If you remember, the defense forced a couple turnovers deep in their end. And I was saying after that game, this wasn't for real. This wasn't for real. But guess what? Week 8, Indianapolis comes to town, and the Steelers' offense, especially Big Ben, just blew up.
51-34 victory for Pittsburgh. They kind of let up some points at the end. Luck did try to keep up, but that was huge by Big Ben. 6 touchdowns that week, 6 touchdowns the next week. I'm pretty sure the first quarterback to throw 6 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
First quarterback to ever get 500 yards in 2 games in his career. The offense looked like they were on fire. I mean, they pretty much looked unstoppable for those 2 games.
How many weeks did Le'Veon Bell have over 100 yards from scrimmage? I know he set a Steeler record, but did it end after week 8 or after week 9?
I think it ended in week 9 against the Ravens.
Okay, so the first 8 weeks of the season, Le'Veon Bell was a monster. Let's not forget to say that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Le'Veon, you're the key to the Steelers' offense this year. Big Ben, he's driving the car, and, you know what I mean, he's... I don't know if I could say Ben's more important than Bell. I think they're both equally important,
well,
honestly.
Obviously, the quarterback's always the most important, but without Bell, this team would not be where they are right now. Let's not forget, after that Baltimore game, they did go into New York and get
embarrassed.
They got completely embarrassed, but they turned it around and got the win they needed going into the bye. So they're sitting at 7-4 right now.
Yeah, they beat the Titans. Some could say it was an unimpressive victory. I think the Steelers did what they needed to do to win a tough game on the road. The Titans are no joke on defense, and Wisenhunt is a good coach. He took a team to a Super Bowl. He knows the Steelers. He knows Ben Roethlisberger. He knows how to stop them. Those things, you got to take those into account. And Le'Veon Bell had a great game, 204 yards rushing. LeGarrette Blount cried like a little baby and walked off the field and got dumped from the roster. But the Steelers, they won. And that's what they needed on the road. They won.
That is the most important thing. I still want to see a dominating performance on the road before we get into the playoffs, if we get into the playoffs, because I'm telling you, we're going to have to play a team like Indy or Denver on the road, and it's going to be too tough a situation for Pittsburgh to handle.
It's scary to play on the road for the Steelers this year, but I think playoffs might be a little different. Maybe I'm just hoping that the Steelers would get up a little bit more for a playoff road game. I just think that's a whole different atmosphere. So I'm hoping and praying that they would not just overlook those games like they have these road games early in the year.
So we're sitting at a bye week right now, 7-4. You can't be
I'm feeling good.
Yeah, you can't be completely disgusted by this team. They did a lot more than we hoped. not at the beginning of the season, but after they lost that Cleveland game in Week 6.
Terrible.
We thought this season could be over, but they went 4-1 since then, going into the bye week, and they need this bye week because New Orleans is coming to town.
Yeah, Johnny Parlay made me say they were not that good of a team after they lost to Cleveland.
You said it.
So now I'm going to make him say that they are a good team, even though, I might have said they weren't before. They weren't playing well then. But 7-4 going into the bye. They got the Saints coming to town Week 13. I picked them to win this game earlier in the year. I think you had them to lose, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then Week 14, who we got at Cincinnati, right?
That is a huge game.
Playoff game right there, because the Steelers, if they want to win the division, they have to win one, maybe both games against Cincinnati. If you're going to lose any of the remaining games after the bye, I would rather not lose to Cincinnati. We could probably go 2-3 in those final 5 and beat Cincinnati both times and still have a shot at the division, or at least the playoffs.
An outside shot at
wouldn't be good. I'm not
winning
saying
a
to
wild
do
card.
it.
Yeah, maybe.
But that would be the only way.
I actually like Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, I think. I think Pittsburgh is going to win that game. Now, I think Cincinnati may win that last game of the season, but I don't know. Usually, for some reason, I just remember the Steelers take care of business in Cincinnati.
They got to have a bad taste in their mouth from the last 2 years, not making the playoffs, people doubting them.
And you know what the best part about that is? After Cincinnati, they go into Atlanta, which is a tough game. But then Kansas City comes to Pittsburgh, and Kansas City is the team that screwed them over in the end of the year. So You want to hand their asses to them in that game.
Definitely. You want Pittsburgh to come up big, blow the Chiefs out. Their offense doesn't look very explosive this year. They've been relying really heavily on the run game and Jamal Charles. If Big Ben can get a big lead on them early, the defense has been kind of shutting people down. I feel like this defense is getting better week to week maybe. And if we can get Shazier back and Ike Taylor back and Troy Polamalu back and McClendon healthy, as Tuitt's getting more playing time on the D-line, this could be like in 2005 when we peaked at the right time near the end of the year and had a nice run at the end through the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. I'm not predicting a Super Bowl victory for this Steeler team yet, but they definitely have a really good shot at winning the division and making the playoffs.
I actually have more trust in our defense and our offense right now just because how bad the offense has looked on the road. Yeah, they got it done last week, but it still wasn't a dominating game. We
dominated in the run and struggled in the pass.
Yeah, I expected them to dominate in the run because Bell didn't do anything at New York, and everyone's like, oh, our run game, garbage. Well, New York has a very, very good run defense.
Believe it.
And Tennessee has a very, very bad defense. So you see the difference. Le'Veon Bell is a beast. Our run game looks pretty good. I'm just having trouble with the way Ben looks on the road compared to at home.
So what are you thinking in these final 5 games? What do you think their record's going to be?
Probably 3-2, I would say.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say the only game we lose is to Atlanta. Surprise, surprise. At Atlanta.
So we sweep the series with Cincinnati, huh?
Yep, that's my prediction.
Oh, that'd be huge, and that would get us into the playoffs.
It also would get me to my 11-5 record that I predicted, so that's kind of why I'm doing it.
I see. Well, if they go 3-2, they're going to go 10-6 like I said.
Oh, yeah, well, then one of us wins. It's a win-lose if you win.
But right now, at the bye week, Le'Veon Bell is only 49 yards away from 1,000 yards, but the problem with him is he needs to start scoring on the ground more. It's not completely his fault, obviously, that he's not scoring on the ground. But they do need to get the ball in the end zone, in the red zone, on the ground.
Yeah, put the ball in the end zone, in the red zone, on the ground. You said it the only way you can. That's what they got to do. And the problem with that a little bit is we just had to cut LeGarrette Blount. And I know he was being a big giant crybaby, but if Bell goes down at all, we have nobody behind him now.
That's the scary thing. Usually teams will make a cut when they have a backup plan. Really, didn't they just sign a guy off their practice squad?
Yeah, so they have
that's
Archer.
That's a scary proposition right there.
If Bell's done at any way, the Steelers are done. Honestly, they won't be able to make the playoffs without Le'Veon.
As long as you have Ben, like we've been saying for years, you have a chance.
Yeah, a chance.
And look at Ben's stats sitting at the bye week. 3,270 yards and 24 touchdowns.
He's killing it.
By the numbers, he's killing it, but he still needs to be, I don't know.
More
I don't want to say
consistent.
he needs to be more of a leader, but he does need to lead this team better.
Put the team on your back, Ben. What about this playoff picture? The Pittsburgh Steelers are actually in the playoffs as we speak right now if it would start today. You got the New England Patriots, 8-2, sitting at number 1. They're playing at home against Detroit this week. The Denver Broncos are 7-3. They're your number 2 seed. They're at home against Miami this week. The hated Cincinnati Bengals.
First, wait, stop for 1 second.
What?
Is it any kind of surprise that the Patriots and Peyton Manning are the number 1 and number 2 seeds right now?
Not at all.
I'm so sick of this. It's every year with this crap.
Brady and Manning, man. When you have an elite quarterback of their caliber, that's how it goes. That's why they're the best. Those two are the best. I hate saying it. I like Peyton, but I hate Brady. But they do anything they can to make their team win, and their teams win.
And it's just annoying. It's very annoying.
And they also have franchises that get behind them. The Steelers do not get behind Ben Roethlisberger like other franchises do with their franchise quarterbacks. They kind of put them on a leash more compared to the other ones.
Well, let's hope Cincinnati stays behind their quarterback.
Yeah, Andy Dalton's garbage. He had an all right beginning of the year. He's kind of fallen off. They're 6-3-1. They're the number 3 seed. They play at Houston this week. The Colts are the 4 seed. The Steelers already beat up on them pretty handedly. They're 6-4. They're at home against Jacksonville this week, which looks like it should be an easy game on paper. The Colts are at a huge favorite, but this is a division game, so people are crazy if they think that the Colts are just going to run them over.
I wouldn't say they're going to run them over, but you got to think they're going to win that game.
I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked. It wouldn't shock me if Jacksonville won that game. Just like Oakland beat the Chiefs last night. You wouldn't think Oakland would win.
I mean, it does happen.
Then in the 5th seed, you got our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers on a bye. And the 6th seed of the Chiefs, who've already played this week and lost to Oakland. So 1 through 6, you got the Steelers in there.
Yeah, so who would the Steelers be playing then?
The Chiefs would be at the Bengals in round 1, and the Steelers would be at Indianapolis in round 1. Those would be the 2 wild card games.
Okay, so that would mean the Steelers have a road game in the first round, and not just any road game going into Indianapolis. That is a tough matchup right there. Let's hope the Steelers can maybe grab a 4 seed or drop down to the 6 seed maybe.
Isn't that where Ben tackled the guy to save the chance to go to the Super Bowl when Bettis fumbled? That was in Indianapolis?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, the Steelers are the 5th seed. The Chiefs are 6th. So if the Bengals beat the Chiefs and the Steelers beat the Colts, we would move on to play the Broncos. No, we would move on to play the Patriots because the lowest seed plays the highest seed. Right. So if the Bengals beat the Chiefs, we would go to New England, which is a scary thought. But if the Chiefs beat the Bengals, we would go to Denver.
Which is a scary thought.
Yeah, so we might win the first round matchup with the Colts, but the second round matchup against the Patriots or Broncos as of right now is eesh.
So right now it's set up for us to play probably 2 of the top 3 teams, and if you win those, probably the top team.
Yeah.
So you got the hardest schedule if you make the playoffs right now. But that's what you expect in NFL football, and if the Steelers want to be an elite team, a Super Bowl winning team, you got to go through the best.
Got to win those games, yeah. A couple of notable teams here that are in the hunt. The Dolphins are your 7th seed. All these teams are 6-4, so I don't have to say it 50 times. You got your Dolphins number 7, the Chargers number 8, the Ravens number 9, and the Browns number 10. They're all right up there for the playoffs. Anything can happen in the NFL these days. Parity is running rampant through the league. One week we're number 1 in our division. The next week we lost and we're number 4 in our division. So this is definitely going to change a bunch of times before the playoffs start. So don't think anything's set in stone yet, fans, and don't get too excited.
Well, obviously, with the Steelers 7-4 sitting in a bye, a couple of these teams are going to be 7-4, and a couple will be 6-5 most likely. So yeah, it's a complete toss-up right now.
Yeah, as soon as Week 12's over, we're going to have to do this all over again. So tune in every week. You can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can check out our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Any questions you have about the NFL playoff picture, tweet us. Hit us up. Anything you got to add tonight, Dash?
Yeah, go Steelers. Work hard on your bye week. Don't just sit around doing nothing, playing PlayStation and pool and whatnot. Get ready for this New Orleans game. You win this game, you got a good road ahead of you.
I want to give a shout out to my boy Pasquale Dupuis. Get well soon, buddy.
Peace.
Later.